Welcome back to Why We Buy It. I'm Cobe, and today I want to talk about something that some of my watch fans will have never come across on another YouTube channel, and some of my travel fans will have never come across on a travel YouTube channel, and that's the correlation between wristwatches, my passion for it, and cruising. The two go hand in hand. And for those of you that have cruised before and are watch enthusiasts, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about, and that's most of the bigger cruise lines, the biggest ships, have watch stores on them, right? They have a timepiece store. And generally they're carrying quality timepieces. And my last cruise, which was with Celebrity, and it happened in Southeast Asia, we hit Hong Kong, Vietnam, Thailand, Singapore. That particular market loves their watches. When I was in Hong Kong, I've never seen that many people wearing a proper wristwatch. Not talking about an Apple Watch or a smartwatch, a proper wristwatch. A high-end quartz, like a high accuracy quartz, or a true mechanical timepiece, and some of the best brands, and every single brand was represented in stores in Hong Kong, and I'll cover that in another video. But on the cruise ship, as a result of this, most cruise lines will do maybe one or two events over the course of, let's say, a week or 2 week long cruise, where they do something special for the watch enthusiasts that are on board. But on this particular cruise, there was like 6 different events that covered watches. So as a watch enthusiast, I was spoiled on this particular cruise. And I want to tell you why paying attention to what's available on these particular cruise ships while you're on vacation, if that's what you decide to do, is probably a good idea. And why going to Southeast Asia in particular as a watch enthusiast might be something extra special for someone like you. Let's get into it. First of all, some of you might be wondering why it is someone would spend X amount of dollars to go on a cruise and then spend maybe thousands of dollars more on a luxury item while on board. Well, it's very simple. On a cruise ship, you're actually getting legitimate duty-free goods and tax-free. Now, some of these stores in ports will advertise duty-free, but what they really mean is tax-free. That's all you're really getting when you get off a ship and you shop somewhere in port. But when you're on a ship, you're getting legitimate duty-free goods, which can mean significant savings on luxury items. Now, it isn't always that case, right? Sometimes you can find particular items cheaper, in your home city than you would on board. But for something like watches, quite often you can get a great deal on board. And I've actually priced some of this out. In fact, not this particular cruise, but my last cruise, I came very close to buying an Oris watch that I've been looking at for a while. And when I priced it out, it was roughly 30% less than I would have paid at an authorized dealer back in Toronto, Canada. So that's significant savings. I came very close to purchasing one actually, but that isn't always the case. Sometimes you can find a better deal, and honestly, 30% savings, I can get similar from, say, a gray market dealer. But what you're not going to get from a gray market dealer is, number one, that's generally online purchases. So you're not talking to somebody, you're not seeing the watch on your wrist, you're not inspecting the box and papers and getting a full feel for what you're getting. You're not leaving with it. You're ordering it online, sight unseen, except for the pictures they show you. It's going to get shipped to your door. Anything can happen during shipping. Of course, you can get shipping insurance, but that's a whole nother thing. And then on top of that, if it comes to you and there's something wrong with it, you've now got to deal with that gray market dealer and hopefully get things worked out and maybe a new watch shipped to you at some later date. There's a lot of hassle that goes with it. And then the kicker is you don't even get a factory warranty in most cases when it comes to watches. All you get is the gray market warranty, which means, again, sending it out to somebody somewhere to look after it if there's an issue somewhere down the line and hoping they'll take care of you. It's different when you go to an authorized dealer. You get much better service, and you don't have to go back to a cruise ship to get things taken care of. You can literally go to any authorized dealer that covers that particular brand in your own city and get things taken care of. So at a discount, that is a huge advantage by purchasing something like a luxury watch or bag from a cruise line. Now let's talk about these stores that are on cruise ships, because there's some history here that probably a lot of you don't know, and it's important to know to understand why they have the goods that they have at such great prices. Because not only are you getting tax-free and duty-free, but quite often these stores on cruise ships will have these flash sales where you're getting an even better deal. And I know for a fact that you can haggle a little bit with some of these shops as well. And that's because they need to make the sale, right? They have you for a limited amount of time. Our average cruise with my wife is generally between 8 days and 14 days in most cases. That's the length of cruise we go on. Those week to 2 week cruises, that's not a lot of time when you consider these stores can only be open when they're in international waters. They're not open when you're at port. And then on port days, I mean, let's say the average port day, you're leaving at 5 or 6 p.m. from the port. It takes another hour or two before you're in international waters. Let's say that puts you at around 7:30 on average. That's when they can open, and quite often, 7:30, most cruise lines, that's when the first theater show is happening. So people are in the theater. That's what they're doing. When they come out of the theater, quite often these ships are set up that you're going to have to walk past the shops to get to wherever you're going next. That isn't necessarily the case, but most often that's how it's designed. So they have a short window there where they can maybe get you before the evening activities begin, or people, quite often, you have an older demographic on cruise ships, they're getting ready to go back to their cabins and go to bed. So they have these very small windows where they need to make a sale. So they're willing to bend a bit, and they have specific sales designed to grab you and get that sale. So you'll get some great deals offered to you on cruise ships. So that's why people would buy on a cruise ship, right? You're not paying the tax like you would in North America, in the States. You got your sales tax here. Not only do you have maybe your provincial tax, but you also got GST. It's a significant savings. You're not paying the VAT in Europe, right? The value added tax, all of that's taken off, and it's duty free. So you're getting an additional discount in the beginning because of what the stores themselves get it for. But who owns the stores is very important here. It's very important. So these shops on cruise ships was a division of LVMH Group to begin with, right? The Louis Vuitton Group are the ones that came up with this idea to open stores to sell luxury goods while people are cruising. And that's why you see so many Louis Vuitton bags on cruise ships at great prices. You're also going to see Cartier because, I mean, they own them. Bulgari, they own that group as well. When it comes to watches, they own Tag Heuer, they own Hublot, they own Zenith. So quite often you're going to see those models represented, as well as a number of other models from Swatch Group and such, because they've made deals with them to sell their products on cruise ships. But quite often, some of those particular brands are the ones that go for the best deals because they're coming from the actual owner of those particular brands, right? Now, LVMH Group does not control the shops on board anymore. It's actually controlled by a group called Starboard Cruise Services. It's a group out of the States. They bought a controlling interest in the cruise sales division of LVMH. LVMH still is a minority holder, so they're still involved, but with Starboard Cruise Services now as the primary holder of that particular industry, they've added additional brands, and that's why you see something like the Breitling boutique on the Celebrity Cruise we just took, because even though that's not part of LVMH, that's part of another conglomerate called Partners Group, Starboard Cruise Services, not being directly associated with LVMH, has a better bargaining position and can do a little more things freely with other brands on these cruise ships. And Partners Group just acquired Universal Genève. If you're into watches, it's a very important classic brand that's kind of been out of the limelight for a number of years, like a majority of brands that got killed during the quartz crisis. Well, they acquired them just last year. So I expect to see some Universal Genève brands coming out soon, and it wouldn't surprise me if, because of their previous deal with Starboard Cruise Services, that we see Universal Genève represented on maybe some of these ships eventually. So these are some things that maybe you didn't know as to why you can get such good deals on cruise ships when it comes to buying luxury goods.